Hi Leo, welcome to your love reading for May 2019. This is Elizabeth from channelguidance.com. I've already shuffled the decks for you, and as you can see, you had quite a few jumping cards. None of the other signs have had this many messages, so let me show you what you have. The first card that jumped for you, Leo, was the Four of Pentacles. So the Four of Pentacles can definitely be trying to hold on to what you already have. For some of you, this could be trying to hold on to your current relationship. Perhaps you're holding on to the memory of an ex. This can also represent someone who is not willing to change, someone who is kind of resisting change, trying to stay in their safe place. You also had from the same deck the Ace of Cups. So this can definitely be somebody kind of holding back from you as far as a new beginning. Perhaps you're rekindling a relationship. It can also be that you're holding back as far as a new beginning with someone else. So let's put these back so we can look at the cards from the other deck. The first card that jumped, and this first card that jumped for you, Leo, this was like immediate, and it was a true jumping card. And the card is the Magician. So this is telling you that the sign of Leo can manifest anything in the month of May. So you definitely want to pay attention to where your thoughts are, and you definitely want to know what you want from maybe your relationship or your marriage. This is letting you know that you have absolute control and you are the magician for the month of May. You can manifest anything that you want. The other card that jumped for you is the Four of Swords. So the Four of Swords can definitely be maybe that, because the magician is here and I told you need to know what you want. You have a lot of thinking to do. To me, the Four of Swords means this is someone who has a lot on their mind, and they need maybe a time out, or they need some time to themselves to maybe kind of figure things out. But this can also definitely represent healing. The other card that jumped is Justice. So justice usually comes up when someone has not been treated fairly. There can definitely be also an ex who is apologizing to you, or perhaps it's your current partner who is apologizing for the way they have treated you, because justice usually comes up when you've not been treated well by somebody. The other card that jumped is the Four of Wands. So the Four of Wands does represent marriage, commitment, long-term relationships. For those who are single, there can definitely be maybe a possibility, because remember you did have the Ace of Cups from this deck, a new relationship coming in for you that maybe is marriage material. But for those of you who are already married or you're in a long-term relationship, this does represent just stability, and you have the two fours here, and these are just the jumping cards. We haven't started the reading yet. The Four of Swords and the Four of Wands. To me, the fours do represent stability and a firm foundation. For some of you, you're laying the foundation for your relationship in the month of May. Okay, so let's put these back. These were all just jumping cards, and let's try to put them here in random places in case they want to come up again. Let's get 9. This is a love reading for the sign of Leo for May. The first card that you have, Leo, is the Five of Swords. Love reading for the sign of Leo for May. The Lovers. Love reading for the sign of Leo for May. Knight of Coins. Love reading for the sign of Leo for May. There we go again. Justice. This was one of the jumping cards. Love reading for the sign of Leo for May. Page of Coins. Love reading for the sign of Leo for May. Six of Swords. Love reading for the sign of Leo for May. King of Swords. Love reading for the sign of Leo for May. The Two of Coins. Love reading for the sign of Leo for May. And you have the Three of Coins. What's the most important thing that Leo needs to hear about their love life for May 2019? The message that you have, Leo, is Judgment. So you did have the Ace of Cups jump for you from the confirmation deck, which is a new beginning, and Judgment also represents a new beginning for you. So the month of May is offering you perhaps a new beginning with your existing relationship, but this also represents just a second chance for you to be happy, a second chance for you to be loved. This also represents you rising from the ashes. So if you've been in a really difficult place and you are starting with the Five of Swords, the month of May is offering you again that second chance to be happy. You're rising from the ashes, or your marriage or your relationship is rising from the ashes. So we'll come back to this card to see how it ties in with the rest of the reading. Also, if you would like to get a private reading with me, just go to my website, channelguidance.com. I'll put a link down below, also a link to my Facebook, and you should be watching this on YouTube channel, Channel Guidance Tarot. Okay, so let's look at the first row here and see what you have going on. You're starting with the Five of Swords, the Lovers, and the Knight of Coins. So, you're starting with a red flag energy. To me, the Five of Swords is one of those cards where you want to pay attention when it comes up, because it always has kind of an urgent message for you. To me, the Five of Swords can represent that you have to be very careful about decisions that you're making as far as your love life, because sometimes the Five of Swords can represent regrets. This can represent bad decisions that perhaps you're making them, or perhaps it's your partner who's making them. And again, with this energy, this is usually decisions that you're making where you don't make the best decision, and you'll look back and you will regret the decisions that you make. So you definitely want to be careful, because the main energy is telling you that you have a chance here for a new beginning. There is a second chance for the sign of Leo to be happy, but again, for some reason, the Five of Swords is telling you be careful with this. There is a significant relationship here. Of course, the Lovers does represent a romantic relationship. It represents commitment. But to me, the Lovers represents this is a relationship that you want very much, or there is a person that you want very much. But for some reason, you're being told to be careful with this. Be careful what decisions you're making around this relationship. There is movement here. You got the Knight of Coins. This does represent slow progress. There's progress being made as far as a relationship. Now, let me go back to the Five of Swords here, because for some of you, you may not be the one making this decision. This could definitely represent your partner. I mean, again, this is a card just of negative energy. There really is no sugarcoating the Five of Swords. There is some type of negative energy here. It can definitely be coming from your partner, where maybe they made a mistake. Maybe, they made a very unwise decision. Because you've got decisions here, and the Lovers also usually represents some type of decision, a choice. Maybe somebody chose someone else over you. Because, I mean, again, the Lovers and the Five of Swords, someone may have had to choose between you and another person. And perhaps for some of you, they chose the other person, and maybe they're regretting that now. Or maybe you chose someone else and you're regretting it now. So, again, just be careful with decisions, because I see there's a relationship you want very much, but you're being told here, don't sabotage. Also, with the Five of Swords, someone can sabotage a relationship without realizing it. Okay, the second row, you have Justice, which is a repeat card because it did jump for you, the Page of Coins, and the Six of Swords. So, I mean, once again, you're being told here to look at things very carefully, because, you do have a decision here where there's a possibility of you making the wrong decision. So you want to be careful in the month of May. The Page of Coins is always a message to look deeper. There's something that you're not seeing. It can also definitely be your partner, because I do see here, again, it's a repeat card, Justice. Maybe you've not been treated fairly by your partner. This can also represent an apology from an ex. The Page also can represent communication. So I just feel like there's a need for Leo to be cautious around decisions, really look at things very carefully, because Justice means that, perhaps someone could be hurt. This is the energy of things kind of being out of balance, and someone's not being treated fairly. You do have movement here and movement here, so there's definitely kind of things shifting around in your love life. The Six of Swords definitely means that you're moving into a much healthier place in your love life, or in your relationship, or in your marriage. But maybe for some of you, in order for you to move into a much healthier energy, calmer waters, you need to look at things very carefully. Again, some of you may have a partner who's not treating you fairly. And this is something that you really need to look at. So for some of you, that Five of Swords can be that maybe you're making a very unwise decision by not acknowledging that, again, that you're being done wrong by somebody here. There is movement here, but you do need to look at things very carefully to see, what is it that is not fair? Is it something not fair to you? Is it something that's not fair to your partner or to your ex? It's a general reading, so it's hard to say. I just see here that there's a relationship you want very much, and I do see positive movement here. This is you leaving behind your problems. Now, in the bottom row, you have the King of Swords, the Two of Coins, and the Three of Coins. It's kind of interesting that you have the Two of Coins and the Three of Coins together. So you do have an air sign here, which would be Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, male or female, sun, moon, or rising. This can even represent your energy if you have a moon or rising in an air sign. But the King and the Queen of Swords can also represent someone who is not really in touch with their emotions, someone who's not really in touch with their intuition. And that would definitely lead to somebody making very bad decisions. It can represent you, or it can represent your partner. And there's a lot of, ups and downs here. You have the Two of Coins. So for some of you, you're struggling in a relationship where you don't really know what's going on. This is instability. This is, a lot of maybe a lot of back and forth. This could be someone who comes and goes, and there's just no sense of stability. You're being told to work on this in the month of May. You have the Three of Coins. Keep in mind that you did have the Magician as the first jumping card. So you have the power to change a relationship where things are just very unstable. Again, you are the Magician for the month of May. If there is a relationship or a partner where there's just, it's off and on, they come and they go, or maybe there's just no commitment, or there's something that's not fair, you feel like you're not being treated right by that person. Again, you're the Magician for the month of May, so you have the power to change that. But you also have the power to make a decision that you'll regret here. Again, it can be self-sabotage by making an unwise decision, or it could even be, your partner that is maybe not making the best decisions by not treating you fairly here. This is something you need to look at this very carefully. Okay, let's get a few more. I just want to show you what was at the bottom of the deck, because you just had the King of Swords right here, and I looked at the bottom of the deck and you have the Queen of Swords. So perhaps, an air sign is significant, or there's just way too much thinking and analyzing, and that's just not the answer. Okay, what other messages are there for the sign of Leo for May? You have the Empress. What other messages are there for the sign of Leo for May? You have the Wheel. What other messages are there for the sign of Leo for May? And the Page of Wands. Okay, so let's take a look at these. It's interesting that you have 2 major arcanas. I put 3 extra ones and 2 are majors. So there's a lot of significant things that want to happen for the sign of Leo. Keep in mind that your main energy is also a major arcana. The month of May is offering you a new beginning or a second chance, or your relationship is able to rise from the ashes, depending on what you're doing. Because remember, you did have the Magician jump for you. So the Empress, to me, this is like your ideal relationship. And as it is, you already have the Lovers here, which this is a relationship you want very much. But the Empress, this is someone where you don't really have to fuss too much, because this person fulfills you in every way. This is a card of love and marriage, commitment, stability. All those things are being offered to you, or you already found them with someone. Again, you want someone very much here. And you have the Wheel here. The Wheel wants to turn for the sign of Leo. This is positive change. This is change for the better. For some of you, this can definitely happen for you because of some type of communication, because you have the Page of Wands, which can represent communication coming to you. Perhaps you're hearing something. The Page of Wands always represents good news. But this also could represent excitement, adventure. So for some of you, for those who are single, there can definitely be a new person coming in. Again, you did have the Ace of Cups jump from the confirmation deck. There can be a new person that's just coming in and changing everything. If you're already partnered, you have a chance here for, the ideal relationship, because it's the Empress. It's not the Knight of Cups. It's not the Ace of Cups. It's the Empress, the ideal relationship. Things are changing, allowing you to have that. And this just represents change and excitement and adventure. But for some of you, it can also represent good news. Okay, so let's move on to the confirmation deck to see what other messages come up for you. What other messages are there for the sign of Leo for May? You have the Fool. What other messages are there for the sign of Leo for May? You have the Eight of Wands. What other messages are there for the sign of Leo for May? And you have the Devil. What's the most important thing that Leo needs to hear about their love life for May 2019? You have the Queen of Cups. So this would represent a water sign. So Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, male or female, sun, moon, or rising. This can represent your partner, your ex. It can represent you if you have a moon or a rising in a water sign. Sometimes the King and the Queen of Cups also just represent someone who's very much in touch with their emotions or their intuition. Okay, so let's look at these 3 right here. You've got, again, 2 major arcanas, just like on the other side. You've got the Fool and the Devil. So the Fool, this is another new beginning that you have here, because the main energy from the other deck was Judgment. So you have 2 new beginnings here. And the Fool is telling you to just go with it. This is saying trust. Trust your heart and your intuition. What is your heart and your intuition telling you about your love life right now? Because you have change here again. On the other side, You have the Wheel. Actually, you know what? You have more than 2 cards about change. You have the Six of Swords, which also represents a healthy change for the sign of Leo. You're moving into a much healthier place in your relationship or in your love life. And again, with the Wheel, this is a big change. But I mean, the Eight of Wands is also telling you that for some of you, there is some type of change coming to you, that it's coming to you that you've been waiting. You have been waiting for this change for a long time. Because the Eight of Wands, to me, this represents not just change, but you waiting. Some time has passed. You've eagerly been looking forward to maybe someone coming back to your life. Or maybe you've been looking forward to someone being ready for a relationship. Something like that. There has been waiting involved. And it's finally here. Like, it's like wait no longer. The moment has finally arrived. You're here. This is your new beginning. You just have to trust. For some of you, you may not be trusting. I mean, you have the Devil here, which is, although that, you know, it's a nice energy. It's a major arcana. It's very positive. But this is also a major arcana. So for some of you, fear could be holding you back. I mean, the Devil, I feel like for many of you, it is fear. It can also represent negative thinking, because remember, you have the King of Swords and then the Queen of Swords just happened to be at the bottom of the deck when I pulled the last 3. And I told you, analyzing things may not be the best answer for you as far as what's going on in your love life. Because with the Fool, you have to trust your heart and your intuition, not your thoughts. So perhaps, let's tie it in with the Five of Swords. If you're trusting your thoughts, you could self-sabotage this relationship that you want very much, because it's already here. And the Empress is saying this is the ideal relationship for you. This is like the person of your dreams. It's finally here. You've been waiting for it. A new beginning. You have to just trust your heart and your intuition. Or there can be, you know, a challenge here with the Devil. I mean, the Devil does represent negative thinking, negative behavior patterns. It can also just represent fear. Fear of maybe just accepting these new beginnings that are coming to you in the month of May. Now, let me just take one last look at this before we move on to the X spread. I mean, I see that you have here, I mean, you have the Lovers cards. For many of you, I mean, the Lovers, this just represents the person that you're in love with right now. Again, for those of you who are single, this can represent someone who's coming into your life, a significant relationship. But the Lovers could definitely also represent the sign of Gemini. So you want to keep that in mind. And then you also have the Empress over here, which can represent the sign of Aries. And then you have down here the Devil, which can represent the sign of Capricorn. So, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things going on here. It's hard to say in a general reading, but it just seems like there's new energy, new beginnings, and you're being told to just trust. Right in the center of the reading, you're being told by the Page of Coins to look at things very carefully. Because although you have new beginnings and there's a relationship here with the Empress and the Lovers that is something you want very much, there's a possibility, you know, with the Five of Swords and the Devil, of something going wrong here. And again, this could be definitely a decision with the Five of Swords being the first card. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the X spread. I'm going to be using this deck right here. I've already shuffled it, so let me go ahead and get these out of the way. You can definitely use the X spread for those of you where you just want to focus on maybe someone that you dated a few times. It can also be a committed relationship, but people always ask me, can it be just someone that I dated? There was no commitment. You could definitely use it for that. Okay, you did have, I just noticed that you have a few jumping cards here, also from the X spread when I was properly shuffling. And it's actually more than a few. Let me show you what they are. So here's one. I'm trying to lay them out here in the order that I saw them. This is actually the first one, so I'll put that there. And then this was the last one. You can see it here. Okay. So the first card that came up, again, this is for exes, someone who is no longer in your life, but you want to reconnect. The first card that came up was the Eight of Cups. So, I mean, because we're focusing on exes here, the Eight of Cups can definitely be that there's a need to leave old emotional baggage behind you. Maybe that is still following you, and it could be working against you as far as reuniting. And then you had these three cards. You know what? This card did jump with all of these. They all jump together. So I normally would not show this many cards, but to me, it just kind of read like a story. The Queen of Wands is obviously you, because you're a fire sign, but if you have a ex who's also a fire sign, that can be them. So you have this your energy, the Hierophant, which to me this represents kindred spirits and soulmates, kind of, you know, spiritually connecting with someone. Perhaps, you know, you have an ex who is doing a lot of thinking, because ironically you did have this card, this very card right in the center of the spread that I just did for you. This is someone who's looking at something very, very carefully. Again, there is that soulmate connection, and someone has not moved on. The Ten of Swords. This is someone who has been unable to move on. It can definitely represent you, because the Ten of Swords can mean that, you know, someone has been hurt or they've been betrayed, and they have just not been able to move on from this. For many of you, I feel like your ex is doing a lot of thinking here. Maybe they're thinking of what they did. Depending on what happened between you, they may be thinking of what you did. I just feel like someone is doing a lot of thinking about you here. And again, someone has not moved on. It's just there's a lot of emotional baggage here. So let's go ahead and put these back in the deck. Show me the energies around Leo and their ex. Page of Swords. Leo and their ex. Three of Cups. Leo and their ex. Leo and their ex. Leo and their ex. Leo and their ex. Okay. So you have the Page of Swords, the Three of Cups, the Four of Wands, the Queen of Cups, Death, and Temperance. So you do have communication here. Keep in mind that you had the Page of Coins jump for you, and now you're starting with the Page of Swords. The pages can represent communication. You also have the Page of Wands in the first spread, which I'm looking at right now. So for some of you, there can be communication with your ex, because you've had that many pages. This does represent honesty, though. This represents not just communication, but someone is really being completely straightforward, completely honest with you. I see some type of like honesty between you and your ex, and then I see you being very happy here. Some of you, you may be happy that you're finally hearing the truth. Maybe you're hearing that someone has missed you. Maybe you're hearing that someone still loves you. I see you being very happy here because there is some type of communication where someone is completely upfront. You also have the Four of Wands, which does represent stability. This represents, you know, a long-term relationship. So for many of you, it's still there. The energy is still there. I still see you being very happy. But for some of you, the Page of Swords can be that there's a need to be completely honest. Again, going back to that Magician that jumped for you, if you want your ex back, for many of you, you may have to be completely honest with them. Maybe there is something that needs to be communicated. Because you have had quite a few pages which represent communication. I see you being happy as far as your ex. And I still see a relationship here. Keep in mind the Four of Wands can also represent marriage, a long-term relationship. Now down here, you have the Queen of Cups, Death, and Temperance. So Queen of Cups, this is a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, male or female, someone or rising. It can also represent you of your moon or rising in a water sign. But they can also represent just someone who's really in touch with their emotions and their intuition, which was kind of a strong message for you, because the main energy from the confirmation deck was the Queen of Cups. So if there is no, I'll just put her there. If there is no water sign, as far as, you know, your energy or your ex, it can just mean that somebody really needs to connect to their emotions to figure out what they want. And then there can be a big change here, because Death does represent a huge transformation, a big change, a new beginning, which was kind of a big thing for you in the first spread. For some of you, forgiveness is important, with Temperance being here. And I'm pretty sure that Leo did have, let me see here. Yeah, you did. Here it is. You had Justice. So, I mean, these two cards go hand in hand. For some of you, maybe, you know, there's going to be an apology from your ex, or maybe you need to apologize to them depending on what happened. And this represents forgiveness and compassion. Perhaps, you know, that is why the Eight of Cups jumped for you. There's emotional baggage you need to clear out with your ex. And then there can be a new beginning, a big transformation. Again, if there is no water sign, this is just a lot of emotion between you and your ex. It's still there. I still see you being very happy. I still see the relationship here, but there is some type of communication. Somebody needs to speak their truth, or some type of truth needs to be revealed with the Page of Swords. Okay, Leo, this has been your love reading for May 2019. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you again next month.